Growth, powered by desire. The two key words here, growth and desire, are no accident. They're the cornerstone of everything we do at Havas, and they're universal. They're as true for creative teams in Singapore as they are for CX folks in Toronto, as they are for media teams here in Paris. And growth, of course, is something that's tremendously important to our clients. They know this inside out. But what they may not know is that desire is the key to unlocking that growth, and that Havas does desire better than anyone else. So let's talk about how. We'll start with something we all have in common. For years, we've been living through one wave of change after another. That's societal change, it's political change, it's economic change, but more than anything else, it's technological change. From the internet to smartphones, from e-com to social, from cloud computing, Gen AI, and on and on and on, change is a constant in our lives, like quicksand beneath our feet. And embracing each new wave of change, whatever it is what keeps us all in the game. Nobody can survive complacency in this day and age. So we change because we must, but we also change because we love it, because variety and adaptation is the stuff of life. It's also why Havas is investing up to $1 billion in its Converged.AI platform to embrace and meet that change head on. In fact, to lead the change. The Converged.AI platform is a way of working, of seeing the world, and more than anything else, a way of turning our very talented colleagues into superheroes of sorts. But we know we're not alone in chasing the cutting edge, and as we seek to set ourselves apart from our competitors, it's worth asking ourselves a question. What if you don't just want to play to keep up, but to win? It's a question our clients ask themselves all the time. They wake up, at 4:30 in the morning in a cold sweat, and a couple hours later at 7 thinking about how they're going to achieve the growth that they seek. And yet, for all of that angst and the spending and the wondering, we would argue that most brands still don't have what it takes to grow, that 78% of them could disappear tomorrow and nobody would care, which means that just 22% of brands are poised for the growth that they seek. Our goal at Havas is simple. We're on a mission to make sure our brands, both the ones we work on already and the ones we aspire to work on, are among that 22%. And to do that, in addition to all the cutting-edge technology we've talked about and will continue to talk about, we add one element that is simple and crucial and unique to Havas, and that element is desire. It is the invisible force that moves people forward. It is the sit forward in your seat feeling that colors how you interact with brands, how you make purchase decisions, how you talk about brands to others. And it is emotional, and it's simple, and it's powerful, and above all else, it is connected to growth. Because desire makes brands 4 times more likely to grow than undesirable brands. And desire can increase the value of a brand by more than 50%, even when you hold all other variables consistent. Desire also helps brands show up to 5 times stronger in AI output. So when you're searching for a brand, talking about a brand, referencing a brand, all of that contributes to a brand's success in AI output, which creates this virtuous cycle of desire, begetting desire, begetting desire. Desire also cuts through the seam of sameness. At a moment where we've gotten so good at optimizing our work that it started to sometimes look a lot alike, desire changes that. It is by its nature distinct and therefore helps brands stand out from the pack. Desire also matters no matter the category. It's true for microchips, it's true for vacuum cleaners, it's true even for laundry detergent. If you picked up a bottle of Evian today, for example, that's desire at work. You chose it over a functionally equivalent bottled water for a reason. Desire also increases the time that 57% of people spend with brands. And this is huge. We live in a moment where many people view advertising as a necessary evil, or they see it as unnecessary completely and they avoid it with ad blockers. But desire says that 57% of people will actively choose to spend time with you if they desire your brand. Desire also happens to be something that we at Havas are the world's greatest experts at creating, and not just because we believe in it so fervently, but because of the tools and processes and people we have to create it and the decades of client experience we have building it on behalf of brands. The place where all of this comes to life, where desire goes from theory to practice, is Converged.AI, a multi-agent proprietary platform that begins with business intelligence, of course, as it always does. This is data, consumer data, client data, category data, all brought together to form a brilliant base for creative and strategic thinking, where we come to an idea about what it is that could unlock desire for a brand. And then we make it real. We execute in the real world all along every stage of the consumer journey, and we're very quickly able to ascertain the business impact of those decisions, whether they're contributing to desire or not, and then we pivot or double down and move accordingly. We do all this not just because we can and have the technology to, but because it's the surest fire way to grow. And we think about that growth like this. When you take Converged.AI and you apply desire to it, you get a tangible, measurable business growth. And we call that business growth the Havas Delta. Here's a couple examples of it. The first is Evian, which achieved a lift in both sales and penetration when it pivoted from thinking about bottled water as just a way to hydrate, or JBL, which took a very familiar product and imbued it with a reverence and made it feel iconic and interesting again, and in the process achieved double-digit global sales growth. Or Beyfortus, an RSV vaccine that could have felt like another clinical medical choice among the many that parents make, but instead tapped into desire to set it apart as a way of loving and caring for your children, and achieved a 25x use of Beyfortus relative to its competition in the process. And then finally, and most literally, Domino's, which combined comedy with commerce with the literal desire to be a pizza in a wonderful campaign that sparked a 38% improvement in ROI. So you may be wondering at this point, well, we've done all this, but how exactly do we do it? So we'll look at an example, and we'll look at it through the lens of the desirable journey, which is born from the recognition that it is not just a amazing creative idea or a distinct insight that makes a brand desirable. It's how you activate along every step of the consumer journey that does it. And every step of that consumer journey is an opportunity that takes you from I see it to I want it to I have to have it to I've got it to I love it to I share it and I'm shouting it from the rooftops. Every moment is a chance to create desire. And every communication choice we make is a chance to do it better and better, whether that's an awareness campaign that lights the flames of desire, or an in-app wish list that crystallizes that desire and makes it real, or maybe it's the e-commerce social offers that finally get someone to give into that desire and buy the thing, or maybe it's the personalized loyalty program that makes you want to tell everybody that you know about this desirable, amazing product. The way that we make decisions about where we show up and how we show up, it's informed by something called the X Index, which is a Havas CX tool that rates, monitors, and measures how successfully brands are able to create desire all across the brand experience. So for example, if I wanted to know how successfully is Sephora using its social channels to generate desire, and how successfully is it doing that relative to its competition, the X Index could help me. Another thing the X Index can do is it can help us avoid the pitfalls of desire, whether that's a bad influencer review or long wait times, poor customer service, maybe it's a deceptive loyalty program. Just as the positive effects of desire is that they can grow and grow and grow with investment and opportunity. When things go wrong, desire can wax and wither and wane over time. So part of the way that the X Index helps us is we avoid the moments where things can go wrong and focus more on opportunities for things to go right. Yet another way that we think about being as successful as we can and orchestrating this unbroken chain of desire is with the way that we're structured, the Havas Village model. That model is more than a decade old, and what it means is that while some other agency networks are working away in silos, and you might have one vision of desire and I might have another, and they're in competition or contradiction with each other. Not so at Havas. We are very practiced at bringing people together, elite talents literally converging around your brand and working towards a singular and interesting and effective vision of desire for a brand. We also do it in a way that we happen to be really proud of. There's this truism in advertising that you can either have giant, global, impressive scale, or you can have the kind of warmth and intimacy of people who like and know each other well, but you can't have both. And Havas's existence is a rebuttal to that truism. It's partly the village model, it's partly the longtime family ownership, but what it means is that Havas is a place that's big enough to matter, but small enough to feel like family. So there you have it. Desirable brands create desirable results, and nobody does desire quite like Havas. And so we leave our clients with this question: are you ready to dive in, to explore our most advanced tools, to talk about what desirability could look like for your brand? And for each other, an encouragement, which is to incorporate desire in the way we work every day, how we collaborate with each other, how we make the use of all our amazing tools, and most importantly of all, how we communicate with consumers.